Hey guys, what's up? It's the Merc here from Poolshed Games, and this is another episode of Spooky Games. This time around, we're going to be talking about probably one of my favorite games that we have up here, board game-wise. And it's probably one of the first spooky games that I got into that I really ever bought. And that game is A Touch of Evil by Flying Frog Productions. This game, for the Lich Lord and I, and a couple of our other friends, was one of our first introductions to cooperative board games, and it was one of the first games we played with the kind of like horror theme, gothic elements. Really cool thing about this game is it's set in like colonial America, I would say, because you still have the British. Because some characters are British, some characters are American. The militia you can raise. You can raise a town militia. So it's set in that kind of era. And it's a really cool time period for a game to be set in because you don't see it much. In miniatures games, there's Tomahawk and Musket, which looks like an amazing game. I know there's Touch of Evil. Aside from, you have some of the colonial ship games. But aside from that, I don't know of too many games that are set in that kind of era for gaming, like tabletop gaming or even like PC gaming. I know there was Empire Total War, that was one of them, and I think there was a couple others, like I think Europa Universalis. But for me, it's a time period that's not really touched upon a lot. Now, the way Touch of Evil works is you have a nice board that's a representation of a small colonial town and the surrounding area. At the beginning of the game, you decide, are we playing together or are we playing against each other? I have never played this game competitively. I can't imagine how you would win playing this game competitively. We always play it cooperatively, and when you play it cooperatively, there's extra charts to make it a little bit harder, to make the game's difficulty upped to deal with you all working together. And you pick from an assortment of monsters. There's a vampire, there's a werewolf, there's the scarecrow, there's the headless horseman. There's a lot of just classic monster types. And you start the game not knowing where the monster is hiding. And each turn something happens, the monster exerts its influence a little bit, and there are the town elders who you try to protect. And all of them have secrets. Some of their secrets are they're secretly in league with the monster, which turns them into villains. Each turn, the game progresses towards darkness. When you reach the full darkness track, you've lost. You get one chance to try to stop the monster at that point, and then if you don't make it, you're done. So this game has a couple of elements working for it in the horror suspense genre. One of those is the countdown to darkness, where each turn things happen that makes it harder and harder for you to defeat the monster. The other aspect is a deck of cards, which are bad things happen cards. They're things like someone in the town has been murdered, or the monster's minions come out. So all of this really makes it harder to win, and it builds a tension as you're playing. Also, each place you go to explore to try to find the monster or to find equipment has its own deck of cards that you flip over, and it's a random encounter. Sometimes it's nothing dangerous. You might get a nice item. It might be a skill test, which could be good, could be bad. Other times it's things like bandits or monsters that are specific to that location that come up and attack you as you're trying to get equipment. The biggest thing in this game is you try to get equipment, weapons, or if your character is more mentally strong, you try to do that, magic, things like that, or guns. And then, when the end of the game comes, the end game, you and your friends work together, you find where the monster is located. The person who finds it can make a call to bring everyone else to the area where they're at, and then you fight rounds of combat against the monster until you kill it, it kills you, or it escapes and you have to chase it down again. So it's one of those games, it's kind of like Pandemic. There's not a lot of ways to win, there's a lot of ways to lose. If too many of the town elders die, you lose. If you make it all the way to darkness, the game's over, because the monster is too hard to kill at that point. The monster gets away, or if the monster does a total party kill and kills the whole party of good guys, you've lost. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways in which you can lose this game, and there's only one way to win, which is to destroy the monster. Now, I will show you the back of the board, not board, but the game. You can see the funny thing about this company is they hired actors. I think like theater people from where they were to portray all of the characters. So all of the pictures of the characters on like their cards and on cards in the games that depict them are pictures of actual people. I don't know if they might be people that work for the company, they might be actors that they hired, but they're all live action photos. So, it's not a drawing, it is a real person. It adds the game a little bit more of a character, a little bit of a touch of, life to it. Another cool thing about this company, every game they've made, they make A Touch of Evil, they make Last Night on Earth, they make Invasion from Outer Space. Each game comes with a soundtrack that you can pop into your CD player and listen to while you're playing the game. It's just a nice little thing that continues to add atmosphere while you're playing. And I've always enjoyed that because I like a good atmospheric soundtrack to listen to while playing these types of games. So overall, this is probably one of my favorite games that we're going to have here on this series. I have played it many, many times. I've got the chance to play the expansion once. There's a few expansions. There's expansions that add characters. There's expansions that add a whole new region. I just haven't picked those up yet. One of my friends has the new region one, which adds like a swampy type area and a coast, which is cool. And I look forward to getting those at some point, but right now I just don't have the time. So that's going to be it for Touch of Evil. I give it a thumbs up. If you like games where you work together and you're fighting classic monsters like the Wolfman or a vampire, basically Dracula, this is a game, or like the Headless Horseman, this is a game for you. Elements that make it suspenseful and scary is the deck of cards working against you, a hidden monster who has minions he sends out, and the fact that if you end random areas with random encounters that you don't know if they're going to be good or bad. All of those add up to make a tense, fun gaming experience with A Touch of Evil by Flying Frog Productions. So that's going to do it here for us at Poolshed Games, and we will see you next time. Hopefully you guys have a good one.